Just think about it. The baby boomers alone hold more than 54% of all the stocks on the stock market. And these people are either retiring or already retired. Not to mention, yesterday I watched a video where the new companies who are trying to take over the credit card businesses are buy now, pay later. And the three companies that currently are competing with credit card companies. And effectively, they're in some way operate like a credit card company because they still charge you a late payment fee, which happens to be an interest, which is the same system the credit card companies uses, right? If you really think deeply, Mark Zuckerberg is kind of a Jim Cramer in the technology sector. Think about all the predictions and investments that he and his company actually did and quite went completely in the opposite direction. Think about the Metaverse, think about the VR headset, acquiring companies here and there. $20 billion completely lost. They just recently closed not only the project around the Metaverse, he fired all the people who were actually working on the Metaverse. And there are many other different projects I got reminded by Perplexity, of course, that illustrate that in some form or shape, if you are able and capable and kind of interested to follow the both sectors, the stock market, the Jim Cramer, the person who, is usually mocked for being wrong and then trying to fix what he said, betting on the opposite side, being wrong again. One of the greatest of all time was when Meta fell under $100. He apologized that he was bullish on Meta. The following year, Meta made all-time high. The best performing stock, very close to Nvidia. Percentage-wise, was actually bigger than Nvidia. So again, Jim Cramer was very, very off this prediction as well. But the main point here is that if you zoom out, considering the current acquisition from Meta in Manus AI, right? If you just follow the AI sector, of course, if this is something that interests you, you probably will be more interested to follow the development, and maybe we're actually experiencing the top in the AI boom, because these guys were late big time for the AI hype, and they figured it out, and they didn't want to miss the train, and they doubled down. Something very opposite with the Metaverse. With the Metaverse, they thought that they're the first one, they're the innovators, they're the pioneers. That's why they doubled and tripled on $20 billion. And in the end, they were the only one in the room. There was no one else investing in the Metaverse. Even people who purchase land, sell land, develop games in real estate in the Metaverse. Remember, people were saying the Empire State Building in the Metaverse. People were saying, smokehouse next to the Adobe house. All these pretty, I would say, comic book realities where a lot of people were buying, and the prices were, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. Some people flipped this virtual land, make money, but the overall concept, the whole idea of Zach, the person who was a human, right? Before, it didn't play out. It didn't play out because the people didn't engage. And even Microsoft tried to help the push and the adoption of the VR headset. I personally went here to the flagship store on Fifth Avenue in Microsoft on the second floor to try the VR headset, try to, understand what is the whole hype about. I didn't find it engaging. It was uncomfortable, heavy. I don't know, maybe very, very, very young kids. Maybe they tried to kill some time, but it was boring. Then Apple, right before Zach leave the project and fire all the team, Apple picked up from the same spot, but they implemented the whole new reality. Remember this 5000? I forgot what was the name. It's like Apple Vision Pro or something like this. So yeah, but the concept is completely different. You in fact can work from this device that Apple built versus the Zach, where he was like hang out with friends and like a WhatsApp virtual reality world where no one actually was interested. The point here that I'm trying to make, of course, let me remind you, we just stretched for a while, is that if you really see and read between the lines, Zach might actually be the Jim Cramer in the technology sector, and he might actually be the indicator that you want to follow if you're investing in some of these AI companies that Meta either acquired or is planning to acquire or is partnering with. Again, this is do your own research and due diligence. For my own personal consideration, I think that the Manus AI is overhyped. Nothing unique. I haven't seen anything that the other chatbots cannot do. Also, it's slower, it takes much more time for research and deep research, and especially building projects. You have less credits, more expensive, so many disadvantages. But again, Zuck probably has seen something that we don't know. I might, of course, be completely wrong, but if you just look at the pattern, if you look at the previous performance, you can kind of predict or have certain expectations about this project. Let's wait and let's see how many years it will take for the Zuck to close down this project as well. We already heard maybe in late November he will stop hiring for the AI superintelligence team, right? Which was another indicator that, oh my gosh, we kind of overhired, we went off the rails type of situation. I don't know, it's just interesting. If you can, I understand it's very hard, but if you can follow two different domains of knowledge, and if you can spot similarities, and if you can spot the similarities and draw your own conclusion that is non-biased, right? You don't have to listen to me or anybody else, but like I spot this for myself, right? So I'm gonna make my own financial decisions based on what I see and the conclusions that I draw from it. But you can do the same exact strategy on something else. You might be into e-commerce, you might be looking what Shopify is trying to acquire, or what kind of apps Shopify implements. Remember, Shopify built a special payment app separate from Shopify. It was the Shop app, right? So you have to follow the whole infrastructure around the niche or the domain that you are actually making money, or you're investing, or maybe you have a career in tech, or maybe you really want to see what's going on. But like I said, if you can build the same system where you follow the trend, analyze the news on your own way, and create a comprehensive framework, okay, what this means, what I'm gonna do, and how I can actually either protect myself or make money from it. Are you gonna be waiting to see 2026 or 2027 potential recession, drawdown of the stock market? If you started investing 30-40 years ago, you're up 6,000-7,000%. Will you be waiting to see what the market has as a surprise for you? I don't think so. The problem here is that a lot of people speculating that these guys might be selling. And I understand this is a very large speculation. Why? Because if you look at the historic data, how these people actually vest their retirement funds or retirement accounts is usually on 4 to 6% on an annual basis. They're taking profits in these ranges, but like I said, this time around is different. Why? Because the market is at all-time high, and there is a major shift in the economy coming from the AI sector, which means a lot of other stocks that these people have been holding throughout the last 20-30 years may not see another high, right? We saw this with many companies that have been doing well, have been doing all right, have been paying dividends, some of which. But if you realistically see that some of these companies have no connection with the AI, they have no upside, they have no partnerships, and they cannot be left behind in this trend, well, you really want to prepare yourself for potential $25 trillion worth of securities and value being at some point maybe gradually dumped on the market.